What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com bringing home the bacon NBA DFS video. That is right. The NBA is back, and we're very excited. There are a lot of new people to this YouTube channel since the end of the last NBA season. You guys have been with us with pretty much the entire MLB season, the first half almost of the NFL season, and now we have NBA brought back to your living room tonight. So, again, like normal, it's a 2-game slate to bring back the season. Tomorrow for Wednesday will be even better, a bigger slate. So we're going to go over everything. So if you are new to the channel, you've never been here before during an NBA video, hopefully you learned something. This video is going to be a little bit different than what we're used to, but when we get a full slate, we'll talk about that. So again, these videos always sponsored by Outlier.Bet, which we will check out after we go through some of the things that we're going to go through in this video. Normally, when there are at least 5 games, these videos consist of some of our projections. So we give the 3 top, 3 mid, and 3 value picks at each position with the fantasy point projection. That is there. But because we have 2 games, we're just going to go over a few things. We have a video every single day, pretty much. We've got NFL this week. We've got all the sports. We have giveaways every single video as well. Here's how to have the giveaways here. Like this video, be a YouTube subscriber, and leave a comment. If this video gets at least 50 likes, you have a chance to win a free week of FTA Plus. If this video gets 100 likes, you have a chance at a free month. 150 likes, a chance at a free year. 200 or more likes on this video, a chance at a lifetime pass. And on top of that, with NBA being back, a yearly pass is normally $200, $199. But because we're very excited for the NBA, anyone who signs up today for a year pass, use the promo code NBA is back, all one word, all capital letters. You're going to get a yearly pass for $74.99. So $75 for a year pass instead of $200. You get every single sport we have for a year. So it's first come, first serve. We have 15 coupon codes for anyone who signs up today. Once those coupon codes are gone, they're gone. So check it out if you guys are ready. So that being said, Outlier.Bet, we've got the 2 games here. You can see, obviously, Boston coming off the championship, facing the Knicks. Knicks did the big trade to Minnesota. They ended up getting Karl Anthony Towns. They gave up a lot. Knicks are banged up right now. Do have some injuries we're going to look at. Currently, the over-under is 223.5. When there's a huge slate, we love to usually target the 225 to 230 over-under minimum, but we'll take what we can get with 2 games. We've got the Celtics being a 5.5-point favorite right now, and then we've got the money line is obviously Boston. Second game, we've got Minnesota versus the Lakers. Minnesota's a slight favorite right now at 1.5. Just depends on when you guys watch this video. Maybe it has changed, with an over-under of 219.5. So we've got 2 games. We're going to look at them. So we're going to go over our article. And if you would click on the links and look at it, that would be awesome. It helps out the channel. We're going to go over the fantasy points by position. This is obviously last year. We have nothing to go off of this year. Once we get like about a couple weeks worth of games, it'll be nice to feel comfortable with it, because obviously defenses change. And then we're going to go over the games, kind of like what we've done. This is our sponsor, Outlier.Bet. The link to sign up is down below. So that being said, just kind of looking position by position, we've got a bunch of questionable tags for the Lakers. You're always going to see pretty much questionable tags out of them, especially Anthony Davis. He's going to always have that questionable tag pretty much all year. He's going to play the majority of games. We're used to that. So just kind of looking at players, we'll go through and we will look at it. So normally, like I said, 5 games or more, we'll have 3 top, 3 mid, and 3 value picks, but we're going to give you the plays that we have right now because there's only 2 games. So we're looking at this. We've got Jalen Brunson starting at point guard. Jalen Brunson, we're projected right around 45 fantasy points. Now, these projections are going to be just a little bit off until we get a little bit of more data to be able to throw into the algorithm to be able to build those projections out. But these are, we've seen the preseason, whether or not they played or not. We've seen the matchup, we've seen the Vegas odds, we've seen players who are out. So these can change a little bit. You may notice them changed under the projections tab under NBA a little bit later on during the day. So we run projections quite a bit through the day. We got D'Angelo Russell right around 30 fantasy points. Drew Holiday at 30 fantasy points. Mike Conley, 25. Dante DiVincenzo, 22. And Peyton Pritchard, 17 fantasy points is what we're projecting right now. So with shooting guard, we got Anthony Edwards, got Ant-Man, 45 fantasy points. Jaylen Brown, 39. Michael Bridges, 32. Derek White, 30. Austin Reeves, 28. And Nickeil Alexander-Walker, right around 16 fantasy points. It'll just depend on the minutes that he's going to be able to get in there. Moving to the small forward, LeBron James at 50 fantasy points. Jason Tatum at 49. Josh Hart, 29. OG Anunoby at 26. Ryo Hachimura at 23. And Jaden McDaniels at 21. Then we've got Julius Randle, 32, Naz Reid, 27, Al Horford, 25, and Sam Hauser, 15 fantasy points. Now, Precious ended up getting hurt in the last preseason game with a hamstring. He is out, so I will remove him off that list. Then we've got the center position. We got Anthony Davis at 52, Karl Anthony Towns, 42, Rudy Gobert, 38, Luke Cornett, 16, and Jackson Hayes at 13. Now, during the day, if some of these questionable guys are listed to doubtful or out, it will bump up some of the projections and it will bump up some of the value plays that we're going to see. So there's a ton of things that you guys might want to see in these videos. I need to know what you guys would like to see in these videos. So we already had one giveaway. The second way to win in this video, just tell me who you think is going to score the most amount of DraftKings fantasy points and how many fantasy points are they going to score. So one pick per person. If you are correct, you will have a shot to win 1 week of FTA Plus. So that is a second way to win. So if you want to see any updates to any of the projections, anything like that, that will be updated on the website. What we're going to do is we're going to use Outlier, then we're going to look at the fantasy points allowed by position, and then we're going to build a couple of lineups for you guys. So definitely stick around, hit that like button. Let's get 200 likes on the first video for the first day of the 2024-2025 NBA season. I am very excited for NBA. Hopefully this is our best NBA season to date, and hopefully we're all able to bring home the bacon. So we look at this. Knicks, Boston, we come into here, we go into matchup details. Just kind of like what you're used to with MLB. What I like is you see these insights here, but the insights are in our Discord, which you can find down below. So obviously all of the stats we have to go off of are from last year, so that's what we're looking at. So offensive-wise, the Knicks ranked, they average 112.8 points per game, which was 19th ranked overall, 46.5 field goal percentage, which is 20th overall, 3 points, 36.9, which was tied for 13th. And you can go all the way down the list to see. And what I love about Outliers, you can see when which team is favored, the bar goes over further. So you can see Boston obviously winning. They were one of the best teams last year, ended up being the best team after the finals and all things were considered. And the Knicks they're down some players right now, some big name players. Obviously they traded. There's a lot to go over. Insights-wise, you can see just the different ones if you are sports betting. Jaylen Brown has failed to exceed 6.5 first-quarter points in 7 straight games. So 100% of that, you take that bet over on Fanduel at -111. If you want to see some NBA bets this year, I'm going to be putting some up on our Twitter. So at @advisors_team, I'm going to need you guys to like those and retweet the bet slips when we put those out there. So injury-wise, like Precious is out. Miles McBride is a game-time decision, whether or not plays. Mitchell Robinson is going to be out for a while. He is out completely. We look at the Celtics. You got Sam Hauser, game-time decision. Drew Holiday, game-time decision. Porzingis, out. There is a ton of injuries like we've talked about. So you can look at those. Breaking it down, public betting if you want to go through betting. Matchup breakdown, if you don't go through, offense or defense, you definitely can look at team records. You could look at public betting, how they have gone through there as well. So that is the first game. The second game consists of obviously LeBron versus Ant. Now you can see they're so much better on offense than the Lakers. The Lakers are kind of a mess. It could, pace is a big thing though. Obviously, the higher the pace, the more chances the ball gets up in the air, the more fantasy points we're looking at. So definitely take a look at all of these. If you have any questions, you can sign up. Use the link in the description down below. So we do look at a couple of things here. So if we're looking at our fantasy points allowed by position, and you want to come over to DraftKings and you want to build that lineup using that, we sure can do that. So if we are looking at just the point guard, and we are trying to see the teams that gave up the most. Last year, San Antonio gave up the most amount of fantasy points to the point guard at 57 fantasy points. They're obviously not playing. So we are looking at the Knicks, Boston, Minnesota, and the Lakers. So let me pause this video and bring all of these up, and then we'll talk about that. And we have it broken down on DraftKings and FanDuel. So depending on the website you guys play on, that is where you can use it. So we are looking at the Lakers. Against the point guard, they gave up an average of 54.1 fantasy points, which ranks 24th. 24th overall. They gave up a ton of points. Now, obviously, like we've talked about, the defenses have changed. The players are there. There's a lot of different ones that we can look at. But if we look at that, we are looking at point guard. You want to look at Minnesota point guards. Connolly makes a lot of sense. He's 5,500. He is a cheap option. So we're going to try to build a lineup like this, and then we're going to build a couple of lineups different ways as well. So in theory, Mike Conley is in a good spot here. He is questionable, though. He did not play against the Nuggets due to rest, which they just shut down all of their starters, and he should play. 5,500, he should be playing here. As long as he's the starter, I do like him. DiVincenzo here ruled out for Thursday against the Nuggets due to rest as well. Obviously, he got traded over from the Knicks in that Karl Anthony Towns deal. His last game he played back on May 19th, 52 fantasy points at 7,000. He's now 5,100 because obviously he is not the starter. We do have Conley as the starter, at least in this position. So we'll look at point guard right now. This is kind of how we'll build. Now, if we look at this, the Lakers give up, they're ranked 26th against the shooting guard. 46.2 fantasy points per game is what they're giving up. So that brings us to another right here. Anthony Edwards is probably one of my top favorite plays of the day. We know he is an absolute stud. If you look at his game logs, 50 plus his last 3 games last year. Obviously, this is the first. Looking at this, you can see the matchup here. 89 games for the Lakers. They rank 22nd against opponents' points per game, 17th against field goal percentage. Like, they are not ideal. Splits-wise, he played 4 games against the Lakers last year. And you can see he averaged 47.1 fantasy points, which is 8,800. So he's 8,800, what you're looking at. You would need at least, depending whether or not, if you've been with us, you know that for the majority of your team you're building out, at least on DraftKings, you need a minimum of about 7 times value. So that's basically bare minimum. For tournaments, you need upwards of 8 to 10 times value, which you're not going to find a ton. Obviously, you could find it here with Edwards if he got 88 fantasy points, which most likely he is not going to. But if we're looking at 8,800 and you want to multiply that, let's just say 7.5. So you're looking at 7.5 times value. You need at least 66 fantasy points. He obviously did not average that here, but the Lakers banged up already to start the season. I love Edwards in this situation. So we do look at this. So the Lakers give up. They're ranked 27th out of 30 against a small forward. 47.5 fantasy points is what they've got. So Jaden McDaniels at 5,300 in a good spot. You got Joe Ingles. I doubt he plays. He's 3,500. Questionable. Whether or not he gets those minutes, that's the problem. We got to wait a little bit to see the minutes. But again, building these lineups, this is kind of where I would be looking at here. Against power forward, the Lakers give up 49.7 fantasy points per game against the opposing power forward. Again, just depends on who is going to be the guy here. Naz Reid obviously makes a lot of sense. But yeah, we've got to figure out how to build multiple different lineups. So this is a way to look at lineups using the matchup tool, but that's not necessarily the only way to find what we need. So let's take a look and see other plays as well. So if we do look, just these 2 matchups, the Lakers ranked 22nd out of 30, gave up 56.1 fantasy points per game to the opposing center, which could be Julius Randle. should be. He is questionable. Got the rest, though. Put up points there. Splits against the Lakers last year. Average 50, which we would take at 5,000 or 8,000. So if we're looking at that, like, yeah, this is obviously a huge Minnesota stack that we probably, want to figure out what we're doing. I'm probably taking out Reed, and we're still averaging 5,600 the rest of the way. We could go other positions, whether or not, Boston gives up 50.3 to the opposing point guard, so that would be New York. So if we're looking at or a power forward, for instance, Boston was number 1 against power forward, so you probably don't want to take New York Knicks against there. Lakers were the most. The Knicks were the next. So then we could look at Boston for power forward. Tatum, Horford, Hauser would be a cheap option. Xavier Tillman would be a cheap option if he's in there. I don't know if he's going to be in there, though. Hauser being questionable, isn't on the bench or in uniform, hasn't suffered an injury, but will sit out Tuesday contest per purposes, blah, blah, blah. Should be good to go on this and that. So, again, he's a cheap option to allow you to pay up. So you're at $6,000 for a guard, forward, and utility spot here if you wanted to go through. Again, there's only two games with 4 teams. It's going to be a little bit difficult to build a lineup here, but if they do play, I don't mind. You can go 6,400. You go Horford here, and we're at 7,700 to do a Michael Bridges here or Rudy Gobert against the Lakers. Like, this is one lineup we could build. So for the majority of it, we used the matchup tool, but don't necessarily need to use the matchup tool when there's only 2 teams, because literally anything can happen with 2 teams. So let's build a couple different lineups using the players that we can and some that we didn't even talk about. So another player that I want Drew Holiday. I want to get him in this lineup here. If we look against the Knicks, splits-wise, he played them 5 times last year, averaged 27 fantasy points. He's 5,800. He does allow us to go different directions in those games because under 6K is kind of what I feel makes a value here. So if he plays, Nah is one I want to look at. We'll call him Nah. It's just easier and quicker. Small forward, we didn't talk about him earlier, but let's do that now. We've got Josh Hart. I do like this matchup for him. In 5 games against Boston last year, he averaged 31.1. He's only 5,600, so we're able to build a lineup with Josh Hart there. Moving to power forward, I think we got to get Jason Tatum in there. We have to. So we're looking at Jason Tatum. Now we move to the center position. Karl Anthony Towns, I do like him here. Rudy Gobert, I do like him. Now, do not get fooled by these numbers, because as we saw last year, they do not coincide. Like, people think, that they're ranked 22nd out of 30 against the center. They weren't. They're off for some reason. I'm not really sure how DraftKings actually builds that out, but I want to go with Towns in this one, make his regular season debut, and get him in there. So then we look at the guard position. D'Angelo Russell's got that questionable tag. I believe he'll play. Did not play in the finale. Rested along with the other expected starters. Yes, I think he's in good spots for me. I think he's the number 1 rated point guard tonight with our projection so far. So then we get to 5,800 for a forward, which we've already talked about, but I do like Naz Reid. I think he plays well. Now we're at 6,700 for a center or utility spot. So we can go to Rudy Gobert, which I like Rudy Gobert. I don't mind Mike Conley in this situation if you want to leave a little bit of salary on the table. Al Horford, McDaniels, I don't mind them, but I think I'm going to go and use all the salary in this lineup, and I'm going to put Rudy Gobert in there for me tonight. So that is a second lineup that I wanted to build out for you. Now, let's build a lineup with the guy I think is going to score the most amount of fantasy points, or he's projected so far to score the most amount of fantasy points. And that's my boy, Anthony Davis. So, building a lineup out here. I still want Drew I spelled it wrong. I still want Drew here. Let's put Anthony Davis in utility because I want to be able to move some things around here. Or wait, no. He's the center position. They took away his power forward utility this year. Okay. So we'll put him here. One we looked at, he's questionable, but again, all the Knicks were questionable there. Miles McBride, game log. You know, a little bit down against Indy, but he's playing the minutes. That's what we need. We need, if you're new to NBA, we need 35 plus minutes out of these guys. Miles McBride at 3,600 if he gets the start here. If he gets the start at 3,600, he allows us to do a ton with these lineups. I do want to get Josh Hart in here for small forward. I love me some Josh Hart tonight. Or small forward. Josh Hart for small forward. Power forward, again, everything's coming up. Naz Reid, as long as he plays, I'm good to go there. So now we look at the guard position. I still like this matchup here. And you can see this is more of like a stars and scrubs lineup, meaning we pay up for a couple spots and we pay down for other spots as well. I think we can get LeBron in here. And now we're at 6,700 for a utility spot. So if you want Rudy Gobert in there, you can get Rudy Gobert in there. You can get Derek White in there with that hairline that goes up to here. You can get those guys. I'm going back to the well with Rudy Gobert. I think with 2 games, don't get too cute because most people are going to probably chop up these pots here building these. So we're able to pay up for LeBron. We're able to pay up for Anthony Davis. And we're still able to pay up technically for Gobert. We've got value in Reed. We've got value in McBride at 3,600. We've got a lot of value in this lineup here that I think is pretty good to go. Now, if we want to look at maybe one more lineup we can build, depending on what it is, let's try to get one more lineup, and I think I want to get Anthony Edwards in here. I want to get him involved. I like him. I'm going back to the well with Drew Holiday. I've got him there. We've got Na in there as well. Make sure they're playing. Hart, I do like. Give me some OG in this one. I do like that matchup for him. Center position, I think, again, we're going Naz Reid. He is a cheaper option at 4,900. Allows us to go other positions. We've got Anthony Edwards. I think we can fit him in there. I think we can fit in, let's see. If we fit him in there, we're at 6,200. That's D'Angelo Russell. You could put D'Angelo Russell there. But if I take him out and we put Braun in there for forward, and then utility, we go Gobert at 6,700. We can go that as well. So everything's coming up Gobert this week for day 1, little 2-game kickoff here. So that's kind of the video. We built some lineups. We looked at some of the projections. If you want a chance, be one of the first ones to use the promo code NBA is back, all capital letters, all one word, to give you guys a yearly pass for $74.99 instead of $199. These videos will progress just like we saw with NBA, just like our NFL, and we saw with MLB. If there are certain things you want to see in these videos, let me know that. So if you're new to the channel or you're new to just the NBA, let me know what you would like to see in these videos, and I will see if I can make that happen for you guys. All I ask, like the video, share the video. Go follow all of our social media, our TikTok. Everything is down below in the description of this video, along with today's article as well. Again, once there are at least 5 games on the slate, we're going to have 3 top, 3 mid, and 3 value picks at each position to go along with everything else. So hopefully this video found you well. Hopefully you have success coming back into the NBA season. Let's have fun out there, and let's bring home the bacon. Peace!